That was always a cool idea, Jonathan Toews playing for the Winnipeg Jets.
It was a pipe dream for years.
But did you ever think it was realistic that it would happen, or was it just a cool idea?
I don't know that I really thought about it. Years ago, I mused about it with Chevy, but not seriously. Like he was a Chicago Blackhawk for 15 years, and when his career ended, I didn't expect it to ever occur because I thought he was done playing. It all just kind of. I've known John for a long time, and we got to know each other. We went to Humboldt together a few years ago after that tragedy, and I got to know him. Got to see him, what he was all about there, and then I think we kind of stayed in touch over the years, and it was more just inquiring about his well-being, that because I thought he was done playing. And but a year ago, of last July, I actually got to spend some time with him, and he had gone to India and had finally had some success with his health. He finally felt better. But even then, last year, I didn't envision he was coming back to play. It wasn't until probably, I guess, around December or so when we talked, and he felt like he had been again. He went back for a second time and said he was feeling a lot better and wanted to try skating, and then it just kind of went from there. That's when I would probably the first time that I actually even imagined it happening would have been, I don't know, February or so. He went to skate in Arizona with ASU, and we kind of stayed in touch, and he just seemed to be getting progressively better.
So do you go to Chevy with that, and Chevy knows him obviously from the Chicago days. Does he come to you? How does that conversation start between?
It's a good question, because I wasn't sure how, the way it was unfolding, I wasn't quite sure how to how to bring it up, and again, I wasn't sure whether or not it was real. And anyways, I think what happened, Darren, was people found out that he was skating, and that just became known. And then so some of our guys, knowing that I know him, were inquiring, like, is he serious? Is this really a possibility? And Chevy and I had talked about it, but I at least, I would let Chevy know that I was talking to him, but not within the context of, hey, I think he's going to play for us someday. It was just, by the way, because they know each other very well from their days in Chicago. And it was more just giving him an update, saying, hey, Jonathan's skating, or whatever it was. But again, it wasn't until probably, I don't know, maybe February or March, somewhere in there, where he indicated that he was feeling really good, and was envisioning taking another stab at playing, and then just one thing kind of led to the other after that.
We've seen in the last 3 years your team really have a culture change, and players have taken ownership of the club in such a positive manner. Adam Lowry, I think Mark has changed a little bit as well. Josh Morrissey, even Connor Hellebuck. Do you run the risk with a guy like Jonathan Toews of challenging that culture that you've created?
I don't think so at all. I think it's quite the opposite. I mean, I know Arnie raised it with all of our guys during their exit meetings, to get a sense of how they would feel about it. And they are, to a man, they were, I think, really encouraged by the idea, or excited by the idea. And, I encouraged Jonathan to speak to Adam over the summer, and they did. And they're a lot alike in many respects. And I didn't see him as a threat at all. He's Jonathan Toews. He's, he is what he is, and we are what we are. And I think there's a lot of common ground there. And our guys just want to win, right? This group's been together for a long time. We've been very fortunate to keep this group together. Our amateur group did I think a really good job of drafting in our first half a dozen years. And we've been able to build off that core. And they just, they are, I know this word gets thrown around a lot in our game and our business. We sometimes overuse the word family, but that really is what this feels like and has for a long time. These kids grew up there. When you talk about, Adam and Mark and Josh, like they were young men when they got here. They're men now. They're all, married with kids kind of thing, or that's who we are. And Jonathan is a very mature guy. And I think maybe a younger team might have had a hard time adjusting to a presence like Jonathan, but not this group. They're very, very comfortable with who they are. And so is he.
They've gone from Palomino to the Smitty's Pancake House. That's what they've done.
Well, only you would think it in that term.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
You mentioned Adam. Actually, I mentioned Adam, but you mentioned Adam as well. Just how's his health?
I think it's good. I mean, he's been skating for a while. I think everybody's taking this very carefully and slowly, and that was a significant surgery he had, and there's no need to rush him back. I mean, like we've got a good club, and he's obviously a huge part of it, but I think the thinking right from the get-go is let's take whatever time we need to get him healthy, because he's a massive part of this.
When you talk about family, Mark, would you suggest what happened those last couple of days in Dallas with the passing of Mark Scheifele's father as another galvanizing moment of the family?
I would say so. That
was heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking, to wake up to that day, but I've never seen anything like it, like the way our group responded that day. And I don't think we could have, I don't know. I think the way we responded, the way Mark responded was years in the making as well. I think this group is so close, and the way they rallied around him that day, the way our whole organization rallied around him, and Mark's maturity to just without hesitation say I'm playing was something I will never forget. Like, it was really an extraordinary experience. His courage and the strength of our group to support him was really something.
You didn't win the Dallas series, but you got there. Can you contextualize just getting over the hump, whether it's through Hellebuck or whether it's through your group, getting past St. Louis, and what that can do this year and not having that pressure hanging over them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that was, first of all, that was the most physical series I've ever watched in my life. It was, St. Louis was, and actually, if you look at the numbers, we out hit them. It didn't feel that way watching it, but there were like 660 hits in that series. It was so physical. And I was really proud of our group, the way we weathered that and found a way. I think it would have, I think, this is all process. We've won playoff rounds before. We've won a couple playoff rounds, but I think we really needed to win that one. We did, after two really disappointing first rounds the 2 years prior. And I'm not sure, like, our division's so tough. I was disappointed we didn't beat Dallas. I thought we would have. I think we matched up really well against them, but they got a really good club too. But I think I would venture to guess that we would have taken a big step by getting through that St. Louis series, especially the way we did, the way we had to come from behind in a game 7. We kind of chuckle now about, like, what if we hadn't pulled that off, what would we be dealing with right now? Right. And
the narrative would be totally different, wouldn't it?
I think so. I mean, I think it would have been, you had another great regular season, but you couldn't get through the first round. So I think it's like playoff hockey, as you guys know, is a whole different animal, and anybody can beat anybody. St. Louis was the best team in the league from the trade deadline on. Like it wouldn't have been any shame losing to them. They got a really good club, really well coached, great goaltending. They're a very difficult team to beat. So ordinarily, it wouldn't have been any shame going down in 7 to a team that good. But I think it's huge that we were able to get through it and find a way to win it.